The show is now open. We've just had the opening ceremony and the flood of people waiting in the food hall are now browsing in the parade hall. So the excitement has started and lectures continue. And if you're sitting at home wondering what it's all about and whether to come along or not, we're just going to show you a brief overview of what you could expect to see when you get here. So we look forward to your coming along and enjoying all these things for yourselves. Right now we have here with us Lucy from BeeCraft. Lucy, how long have you been keeping bees? How did you get involved with BeeCraft? What part of the country are you from?
So I've been keeping bees for just 4 years, so not too long, but I've been wanting to keep bees since I was about 12. I read a really good book about them and thought, surely it can't be this difficult and complex and all of these things. But finally managed to do it 4 years ago. And I've been with BeeCraft as a deputy editor for a couple of years now, 2 years almost. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great magazine. I'm still pinching myself a little bit that they wanted to have me on as deputy editor because I was an avid reader, read every page, before I joined. But I'm really proud to be a part of it. It's a really, I know I'm biased, but I think it's a really fantastic magazine. Britain's best monthly best-selling magazine as well. So we've just won an award at Apple one year. So it's really good. It means I get to see lots of exciting bee-related projects firsthand. One of them that you'll see if you come to our stand was about beeswax-powered rockets, and we went to a rocket launch a few months ago, which sounds very surreal. It was actually very surreal as well. But yeah, and the last question, I'm from Cornwall, so I keep my bees. If you know Mount Edgecombe, it's a black bee reserve that I volunteer there. It's kind of on the cusp of the Cornwall-Devon border. I'm about an hour away into Cornwall. near Bodmin, and luckily there's lots of lovely beekeepers around there. So when I first started out, I had lots of great teachers to tell me why my bees were doing this and why they weren't doing that, and so yeah.
That's great. And at that area of the country, are you seeing the yellow-legged hornet yet?
No, not this year, touch wood. I mean, we've had it kind of on both sides, because there's been the nest in the Isles in Tresco in the Isles of Scilly, kind of on our western side, and then there's some kind of Hampshire, Dorset area on the east. So we're kind of in the middle, expecting things. We put out traps, spring trapping, expecting hornets to overwinter, because in 2023 there was some in Plymouth, and so there are things that we're doing. We're very vigilant in the area, but so far this year, no, we haven't had any sightings or any nests, luckily.
Because a few years ago, the first that we were aware of at the National Honey Show was some of the Jersey beekeepers that came and gave a presentation about it. So how far away is Jersey for it to fly across the channel?
Yeah, too far for us, luckily. But we had a really interesting talk at my association from Andrew Durham, who does lots of work with yellow-legged hornets, and he showed these charts of kind of the temperate zones of where hornets really thrive, and that's the Channel Islands, and it went up into Cornwall as well. So climate-wise, we're the perfect habitat. And he was saying, this is one of the reasons to be really vigilant. And I think that was a couple of years ago. And I think since then we've really stepped up, making members aware of the yellow-legged hornet, what it looks like, how the app works. But luckily for us this year, we just haven't had to deal with that. I know other parts of the country haven't been so lucky. It's been a record-breaking year for the yellow-legged hornet in the UK. So definitely something every beekeeper should be aware of.
Right, and obviously in the magazine you'll keep people up to date.
Yeah, it's one of our stories actually. In a previous issue from a couple of months ago, my co-editors were lucky enough to go down to Kent and see some brand new technology in action. I don't know if you've heard of it, but so normally you tag the hornets and you glue some tinsel on, and it's done. And it's a method that works, but finding nests is much slower. And there's this new technology from the Netherlands where you attach a little sensor, and you can triangulate the nest's location from that. And so they got to watch that and take photos, and there was a really good story in the magazine about it. But unfortunately I couldn't go, but it just looked like an amazing use of, so many people combined efforts went into making that technology possible, and it really, really works. So lots of Kent NBU bee inspectors have been using it, and I think it will make a big difference in trying to keep it out of management levels, still in the eradication level, because we don't want it to become an established species here.
Well, I think we've got lectures on the yellow-legged hornet at this show, and we will be talking to people about it during the course of the show as well. But you've also got a programme of BeeCraft lectures tomorrow.
Yes, we do. So tomorrow's a jam-packed day. We're really excited actually, because I think there'll be some lectures where we'll be having to add chairs to the room. People will be, it's going to be jam-packed. So we're starting the day 10 o'clock with Chloe Davis, who's a researcher in kind of the Reading area. And she's doing a project right now about varroa resistance and kind of the effects. She's got lots of, I'm sure I'll tell you more about it tomorrow, but she's got lots of colonies that she's working with just to see what it takes for a colony of bees to become varroa tolerant. And I know there's other lectures going on about that as well, and how to go treatment free and things like that. And then just following her is Matthew Ingram, who's a bee farmer. His company's called Holt Hall Beekery. And he's talking about how he started early 20s as somebody who's just interested in bees as a hobby. He did an internship overseas to do with beekeeping and came back and thought, that's the job for me. And now he's jarring something like 500,000 jars of honey every year, which is a bit more than I got this year. So he's doing very well. So yeah, that's at 11:30, and he's going to talk about his story and what it's like running a small business in the beekeeping world. Following that, after lunch, after you've bought all your books from Northern Bee Books and gone to the trade stand and all that, had some lunch, we're having the lecture. I think this is the one I'm most excited for. It's Jenny Roberts from Lancaster University talking about propolis. So for the last few years, she's been doing a huge citizen science project where lots of beekeepers donate propolis from their colonies. She studies it and tells them what's in it, how that's linked to the environment around the colonies. And this year she's looking into whether it's linked to the subspecies of bee. So I volunteer at Mount Edgecote, which is England's first black bee reserve, and we actually took part in her studies. So it'd be really interesting, personally, I'm really interested to see, is there a difference with native bees compared to other subspecies of bee in terms of the propolis they produce? Because we think propolis is really sticky and it varies in colour, but what's actually going on? And so the more she looks into it, the more studies she does, the more we find out about propolis. So that's the one I'm really looking forward to the most. And then following that is another really good one at 3:30. Michael Bennett, he's a PhD student looking into, well, lots of really interesting things, but the one he's talking about is Nosema, which is detected in honey donated through the National Honey Scheme. So beekeepers around the country can donate their honey, and he's analysing it for signs of disease that beekeepers wouldn't normally see. So things, big serious ones like AFB and EFB, but the one he's talking about tomorrow is Nosema, the 2 variants of Nosema. And that's not always visible to the beekeeper, but he can tell through processing the honey. It's so clever. You can tell through processing the honey whether your bees need to be looked after a little bit more. Maybe they need supplemental pollen feeding, something like that. When to the beekeeper, they look perfectly healthy. So he's going to explain everything he's uncovered through that.
That's really interesting that you can find trace elements of the disease through the honey.
Yeah, not just one particular disease, but it seems to be more than one, which, I've never, until his research, I hadn't heard of it, but he's been working on it. I think he's in his 3rd or 4th year of his PhD, so he's been doing it for a few years. And he's written something about it in the magazine a couple of times, just, as he's uncovering things. But Nosema is something that more and more people are aware of, because it's something that is bettered or worsened depending on the climate. So as our winters change and potentially elongate, or we have those really wet springs, Nosema could become more of an issue to beekeepers, and then understanding it more is something that we should all be considering. And if there's a way to kind of detect it when it's at those really low levels, or when it's not presenting itself to us through honey, then that could be transformative.
And that's brilliant, because the basic health of the hive helps them to fight off everything else.
Exactly, it's their immune system. It's all interconnected. He understands it a lot better than I do. But he's going to talk about specifically Nosema and how that's all links up with colony health, colony well-being, which we're all thinking about anyway as beekeepers. So it's a really, really good lineup. We're really lucky this year. I'm really excited.
The BeeCraft programme tends to focus on young UK-based scientists that are starting off on their careers.
Yeah, the researchers.
So it's an excellent way to, first of all, encourage them, secondly, to find out what's going on, and thirdly, to give them a hand up in their careers.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is probably the youngest lineup for maybe ever, definitely for a few years. I wouldn't like to, it's rude to guess how old they all are. I'll ask them tomorrow if I'm feeling brave. But it's a really, there's a couple of PhD students. Matthew Ingham, who's the bee farmer, is under 30 again. I'm not going to presume, but he's quite young in his career, and he's just built this business from a hobby. It's really inspiring. And Chloe Davis is a young researcher who's working with Martin Benshake. So it's a really full of up and coming research, really cutting edge technology, like this honey, detecting disease in honey. It's just stuff that, normal practical beekeepers were not necessarily hearing of unless you come to the National Honey Show and you see all this stuff in person and write vigorous notes and come back and tell all your beekeeper friends, or at least that's what I do, and tell them all, you've got to come next year because it's been so good and I've learned this and I've learned that.
And it's particularly important tomorrow to come and listen in person, because although we're able to film and produce on YouTube the main lecture programme, which you'll be able to see over the coming year, the BeeCraft lectures are unfortunately not in that position. So come along in person and listen to them.
Yes, please come. It's going to be really good. All 4 are really interesting topics. They're really varied and diverse as well. You can't really connect them that's one thing I personally really like about beekeeping is you can approach it from so many directions. It's such a multidisciplinary hobby, vocation, whatever it is for you specifically. For me, hobby and a little bit of work as well. And it's just, it's to capture that diversity in the set of lectures is, yeah, like I said, we're really lucky this year with the lineup.
That's brilliant. Those lectures are going to be on the first floor because this venue is absolutely enormous. And then when you've finished listening to the lectures, you pop down to the trade hall and have a chat with Lucy on the BeeCraft stand and subscribe to the magazine.
Please do.
So now, please like, share and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you here tomorrow.